The very name of public-private partnership identifies on a broad level the sectors that will be involved in the partnership. I decided to take an alternative approach and focus on public-nonprofit partnership between Nelsonville York Middle School and Stewart's Opera House. In this presentation, I will discuss how Nelsonville York Middle School partnered with Stewart's to bring an art program to the middle school. Stewart's Opera House is a stakeholder in the Nelsonville community. In fact, its mission states that it is dedicated to its role as a regional leader in the arts community, a center for public expression, and an economic development partner for southeastern Ohio. From past projects, Stewart's has developed a relationship with the Nelsonville York School District. So when Education Director Emily Prince met with the school's administration and asked how Stewart's could help, they immediately, without hesitation, said they need an art teacher. Nelsonville York Middle School has not had an art program at their school since 2015. According to research, participation in the arts affects dropout rates, class participation, and grades in school. As you can see, Nelsonville ranks 567th out of 608 in Ohio public schools in 2017. Ultimately, Stewart's could see how they could help and how this partnership supports their mission, and Nelsonville York would get an art teacher, which seems like a pretty sweet deal. If we take a look at the structure of the project, the plan was for Stewart's to hire an art teacher for 15 hours per week. The art teacher, who is an artist from Nelsonville, would teach 3 different groups of students every week. So that's 5 hours per class each week. The school district and Board of Education worked to approve the logistical side of her employment. The Nelsonville York superintendent signed a temporary teaching permit for the teacher, and the Board of Education approved her contract. From that point, Stewart's worked to hire her. She would be a Stewart's employee, completely independent of the school district, receiving no benefits or pay from the school. As you can see in the picture, the Nelsonville York Middle School art class completed their first project of the year. The project was to combine 3 animals to come up with a new creature. At first, they were required to make 20 different thumbnail sketches, or just general ideas, and then they had to choose one idea that they enlarged with color. They had to create a story, including name, habitat, food source, camouflage, fun facts, friends or foes to humans, life cycle, etc., etc. Then they paper-mache'd balloons, added body parts, paper-mache'd those on, continued to paper-mache, painted and decorated, and they think about a story. Finally, they have to critique their project, and the art teacher made a recommendation that they would only be positive critiques. Each student was asked questions about their creature, requiring them to think critically and discuss what they liked best about their creature. So you could see all of the different creatures in this picture. After the art teacher was employed, the plan was to create a 9-month curriculum as outlined by the Ohio State Education Department Visual Arts Standards for grades 6 through 8. The goal of art classes at this level is to enhance personal choice and vision, develop critical and creative thinking, encourage authentic application and collaboration, and increase literacy. Now, if we look at the picture on the previous slide, and I explain the art project, you can see that each element of that project touched on one or more of those benchmarks. So at the end of the school year, the program's success would be measured with tools created by the Ohio Arts Assessment Collaborative, which focuses heavily on pre- and post-tests by the students. From there, the project will be evaluated by the Stewart's Arts Education Committee for possibility of renewal for the next year at the school. Part of the goal is to prove that this program is mutually beneficial for both Stewart's and the middle school, and most importantly, the students. How does this program actually improve their education? Moving forward to the operation timeline, this whole project got started in February of 2018, and this is actually when the Arts Education Director, Emily Prince, met with the Nelsonville York superintendent and other administrators and asked them, what do they want? How can we help? and that's when they said they needed an art teacher. In June of 2018, Stewart's Opera House hired the art teacher, which, as previously mentioned, is a local artist from Nelsonville. She's also a business owner in Nelsonville. Stewart's purposely wanted to hire someone from the community to uphold their mission once again in that economic development component. In July and August of 2018, the art teacher got Board of Education and Superintendent approval of contracts, and got her teaching license in order. In August of 2018, she started the school year with those 3 classes. In October of 2018, Stewart's Opera House secured additional funding from the Rocky Community Improvement Fund to actually pay for the art teacher's salary. In November of 2018, the art class completed their first project, which marks the program as success from the students' perspective, as well as the school district, Stewart's, and the community. Of course, the data hasn't been collected at this point, but on the ground it seems like it's really successful. In spring of 2019, Stewart's plans to investigate a sustainable approach to maintaining the art program, and obviously this comes along with analyzing the success of the program, looking at those pre- and post-tests that were conducted earlier in the year. And in summer of 2019, using the appropriate assessment tools, Stewart's will go more in-depth about assessing the program and potentially setting up the next year with a new art teacher. Continuing on to the project budget, Stewart's Opera House applied for grant funds from the Rocky Community Improvement Foundation, which provided half of the art teacher's salary, totaling $12,500. The program cost overall is minimal. There's that $12,500 teacher salary, and then $2,000 for art supplies, and that's art supplies for the entire school year. Some unexpected costs revolve around both the salary and the art supplies. First, the Nelsonville York Local School District initially pledged to pay part of the art teacher's salary, and they actually backed out as the project continued to move forward. They said they couldn't afford even paying that much, which is why Stewart's had to ask for money from the Rocky Community Improvement Foundation. Next, the supply cost has actually doubled since the year started. It started off as $1,000 for art supplies, and now it's $2,000. And that's based on the completion of the first art project that I showed you in previous slides, and taking those calculations and forecasting to see how much projects like that might cost going forward for the rest of the school year. The school year has not finished. This is an ongoing project, so we know that the project has already exceeded expense projections. So moving on to the conclusion, we can look at some themes that came up from the class readings. First off, reference class forecasting was definitely a present theme, because Stewart's and Nelsonville York City Schools actually launched a similar program for elementary school students in the prior year. After researching that program's budget, outcomes, and ultimately its success, Stewart's and Nelsonville York decided to move forward with this middle school teaching program. So that actually really worked out in planning this program currently going on this year. The next theme that came up was optimism bias. I mentioned in the previous slide that the budgeting wasn't quite right for this project. Nelsonville York actually backed out of paying for the salary of the teacher, and supplies costs are actually a little bit more than Stewart's expected. But because of the success of the previous project at the elementary school, they didn't necessarily foresee going over budget. So that actually hurt them in the end, or at least in the ongoing project. Overall, the Teacher in Residence program has been successful so far in terms of public perception and student validation. The students are happy, the school's happy, Stewart's is happy, and the community's happy. And that's really important. So now, both partners are waiting on the actual results, as explained previously, and they want to see those pre- and post-tests and how this art class has actually impacted the quality of education at the school and ultimately supporting the mission at Stewart's Opera House.